So lockdown is ending, easing, things are opening up. And if I was still trying to make these things funny, I might have written something about the different kinds of people that are going to emerge from lockdown. You know, the nervous types acting like a cat who's seen snow for the first time, the people who are still fully masked and visored up even when they're only walking to the end of their garden. I could write something very funny, and once upon a time I would have done, but when we discover that multiverse theory is true, I can't wait to go and visit the version of the universe where that's still going on, but we're stuck in this one. And here's what I really want to say. We've all been locked down in different circumstances in different ways, and it hasn't been a unifying experience, because for some people it hasn't felt that difficult, and for other people it's been, you know, not just like, oh, it was quite difficult, so then we did a quiz on Zoom and we felt better. It's been like a year and a half of incredibly grueling worry, financial desperation, being shut in with people who are too much, or being completely on your own and not having anybody to talk to. We're not just feeling a bit funny about it. Like, for a lot of people it really has very seriously affected our mental health. And as we come out, there are some different groups of people that are going to emerge. There are people who are really, really worried about COVID, and, you know, they're right to be. It's still around, and it's still a very, very dangerous disease that is still going to claim thousands more lives before we're done with it. There are those people who have suffered horrendously in lockdown and just cannot wait to be out and be free, and perhaps aren't worried about COVID because they're vaccinated, or because they're young, or because it just doesn't seem as important to them as the other stuff that's going on right now. And of course there are the conspiracy theorists who we kind of joke about. You know, I hear a lot of like, oh, it's 5G, or I've had my Bill Gates chip implanted. But in actual fact, most people I know who've been sort of swayed by these things, it's much more subtle stuff. It's, you know, I've heard about side effects of the vaccine, or I read something on this website about vaccines and fertility, or vaccines and is there a thing with blood clots, is that real, is that serious? It's not about being a conspiracy theorist, it's about hearing something and not being sure how serious it is and how seriously to take it. And so the first simple thing to say is, like, as we come out of lockdown, like, be kind. It's normal for people to have gotten trapped in certain ways of thinking, to be unsure about going out, and also to be in a hurry to get out and perhaps not taking the precautions that you think people should. But also remember that whatever this extended lockdown has done to you and to those around you, this is the fault of Boris Johnson and his corrupt, awful government. Because we could have had a short, sharp lockdown, followed the science, sealed up the borders, and we could be living quasi-normal lives right now, as they are in many countries where the pandemic was managed appropriately and taken seriously from the start. So don't be feeling like your friends went crazy because of COVID. We all went a bit crazy, and we all went a bit crazy because this government failed to listen to the science, and also then failed to look after people once we were in an unsavable situation, once it was all completely out of hand. Failed to provide people with financial support, failed to provide people with practical support, failed to fund NHS mental health services, failed to provide resources for schools to teach from home, failed to deal with the exam situation, all these things. Let's forgive each other and remember who we really need to blame, because it's Boris Johnson and his government. See you next week, you know. Maybe in the real world, not yet, but soon. Have a good week.